My name is Joy Fowler, and I work for the Port of Portland. And today I am going to talk to you a little bit about how to ace your job interview. It is really my pleasure to present on behalf of Portland Workforce Alliance today, because this is one of the most critical components to a role within an organization. So we are just going to go ahead and get started right away. Today's agenda, we will be focusing on preparing for the interview, acing the interview, and then finally closing the interview. When we think about step one, I do know that this looks like a lot of steps, but I want to assure you that as you go through the steps, you will see that they happen pretty normally, and they are really critical to one's success in preparing for an interview. The very first thing you want to do is confirm the details of the interview, the date and the time. The next, you want to make sure that you know a little bit about the company. So Google them, check their website, make sure you know a little bit about maybe their mission, their vision, and something that is important to them. The next step is the clothing that you select to wear for an interview. It's important that if it's in person, you don't wear jeans, no flip-flops, no shorts, that your clothes are ironed or pressed, and that you are really prepared for the interview. If the interview is online, it is critically important that you also consider doing the same. Whenever I am doing a presentation or going to an event and it's virtual, I actually will dress the exact way that I would dress as if I was walking out the door. And that helps you just not be able to have a misstep in when you present yourself virtually. Next, in terms of your resume, take time to review your resume and really make sure that your resume actually fits the role that you are applying for. Then, without any further ado, make sure that you practice getting to the place where you are interviewing. I know that many places are virtual, but there are some places that are interviewing in person. If that is the case, take time to navigate the location and where it is and how long it's going to take you to get there so that you can do that. If it is virtual, make sure that you have all of the equipment and components that you need to log on to, whether it's Zoom or Teams or some other device, in order to have the interview take place. Next, you want to make sure that if you are driving or taking public transportation, that you arrive 10 to 15 minutes early. That always allows for, if something doesn't go quite the way as planned, you have the time to make adjustments. And then always bring your resume and your references as well. We're going to take a little bit of time where you see the last step is on check and know your online reputation. We're going to take a minute to focus a little bit deeper on that. So here you see your online reputation. It's really the good versus the bad, how you show up online, and how does your reputation really reflect on the person or the company that you will be working for. It really does show how your character as an individual. There are certain times where you may have something online that isn't a true representation of who you are or who you would like to show up to be. And trust, every organization and company does take time to Google your name to see how you do show up. Just a couple of instances on where maybe things haven't been or gone quite so well. So if, for example, you or someone has participated in the Tide Pod Challenge, that can demonstrate to a company that perhaps the judgment that you're able to make about your safety and your well-being is a little bit off. And then also your critical thinking. And so that could impact you negatively when applying for a job. However, there are some positive things that come as a result of an online presence. For example, if you participate in some type of a concert or a discussion or a debate or something for school, that can also show up in a really positive light and demonstrate your leadership, your capabilities, your willingness to be in front of a large group, to carry on a discussion that's logical and thoughtful. So it really is important that your online reputation is really, you really are thinking about it as you move through the interview process. Next, we're going to take a look at how you prepare for the interview. Preparing for an interview really is critical. And you see this, the little note here that says practice makes progress, not perfect. The objective in an interview is not that you are perfect during an interview, but that you demonstrate that you have confidence, that you're relaxed, that you've done research, and that you really are prepared. You see the steps here which talk about eye contact and a handshake. Eye contact is critically important during an interview because it lets people know, number one, that you are able to respond to them and that you are listening to them when you are providing that eye contact. Regarding a handshake, there are some instances where a handshake may not be appropriate. Just feel free to let the interviewer know that, I prefer not to handshake, or it's, I'm not able to do that, and they will be fine with responding to that accordingly. Make sure that you're answering their questions that they're asking you. And it's really important that you always have in your mind a personal statement. Often this is called kind of an elevator speech, so that you can really talk about who you are, your goals, your objectives, and what you're looking to do, all in a matter of less than, I would say, 60 seconds. You may get the question that is around, tell me about yourself. And it's important that you answer this question in a way that doesn't have you giving a lot of personal detail. So you give your first and your last name, you explain what you're looking for in work and how you're able to contribute to the position that they are hiring for. So that is all that you want to say in this section, because if you veer off and to go into personal detail, that kind of can derail the interview. So make sure that you're clear, you're concise, and you know what to do. And that elevator speech can help with this step right here. Here is an example. This says, so tell me about yourself. It says, hello, my name is Sam. I'm looking for a retail sales position in a team environment. I have experience with the fast food industry and childcare. I have a strong work ethic, a positive attitude, and a track record of punctuality and reliability on every job. It's quick, it's short, there's no personal detail in there, and it really does describe all of the things that Sam can bring to an organization. Alrighty, now we're going to go to acing the interview. And here, acing the interview really is about what you can do as an individual to set yourself apart from others that are interviewing for the same position. Make sure you're mindful of the pace and the volume and how you're moving through the interview. We want someone that has a personality. We want your real personality to show through, because if you give us one person during the interview and then a different person shows up on the first day of work, it will kind of have a manager questioning, well, who is really here and who did I really hire? So make sure that you're really being who you are in the interview. It's important to be positive, to actively listen, and it is okay if you need to ask them to clarify something or to re-ask a question again. That is okay, and please don't feel like you can't do that because they will see you as someone who isn't really paying attention. They actually will, and they will appreciate that you've taken time to ask for that clarification. Some good questions that you might want to think about asking them. I'm just going to read off a couple. Tell me about your workplace culture. Walk me through a typical day in the office. Tell me about how I would get training as I enter into the new job. What's the pay? It is okay to actually ask about pay and the pay range for any position that you are applying for. And then sometimes we do have questions that we don't want people to consider. So I just want to read you a couple of those. How soon could I get a raise after I start working? Often managers want to actually have you there working and demonstrating that you have the skills to do the job before they talk about a raise or any type of an increase. How fast can I be promoted? Again, taking time to go into the role that you're hired for, learn the role, and really demonstrate some knowledge, then focusing on the ability for promotion is what managers are looking for. Make sure you turn off your phone, or at least put it on do not disturb or vibrate during the interview, so that this way there's no interruptions and the individual that is doing the interviewing feels that you are giving their 100% attention to the position that you are applying for. Here is a really helpful practice that we like to share with everyone, and it's called the STAR method. And the STAR method really focuses on thinking about stories or practicing stories. It can be tough to really talk about yourself and hard to share on the things that you've done and that you've done well. But if you follow this method, you will do very, very well in your interview. So let me just give you a little bit of an explanation. Situation is, think of a situation that demonstrates your knowledge or skills and abilities. And if you've never had a job before, meaning you haven't had a job where you've been in an organization or a company, think about something that you did personal. If it's around babysitting, if it's around caring for, siblings, you actually did have a job. You may just not have had a job where you've gotten paid for it. Next, describe a task that had to be done to resolve a situation. And that is around just giving them clear things that you have done to make sure that a situation got resolved. And then around action, what actions did you take to complete a task? And then finally, results, what happened? What was the outcome after you did all of these things? And so that should help you really harness your ability to field questions and responses in a way that promotes success. At the end of the interview, it really is important that you thank the interviewer and ask them, how long will it take for them to make a decision? How many other people are they interviewing? That is all very okay in an interview. And then also making sure that you ask, when can you expect to hear from them in order for you to be able to move forward with the organization? Finally, you really do want to express that you're excited about the job and that you are willing to offer up more or additional information as they need it. The one important thing, which many people often forget this, is sending a thank you afterwards. You can email it, you can put a card in the mail, whatever you do, but that will set you apart from other interviewees if you are the one that takes time to just thank an individual for taking time to interview you for a role. Here are some resources for you to go to. There are your school counselors. You can also take an English class that offers resume writing. You can go to YouTube, Snag a Job, templates. There are so many resources available to you as a student looking for a new job within a company or an organization. And then last but not least, we want you to make sure that you keep calm. I often tell people when they are interviewing for a role at a company or an organization to really take time to be yourself. If you find yourself getting nervous, if you find yourself unsure of yourself, just take a deep breath, pause, and then continue. And the hope is that the interviewer will also take time to make you feel comfortable so that you can show up as your authentic self in an interview. I hope that that information provided you some clarity on how to ace an interview, and I am available for any questions or thoughts that you may have outside of this. So thank you very much.